Welcome to Reddit Stories from the World, and today in an episode of Saving Marriage by u/Fura_Tividri, she asks for advice on her future relationship with her sister. Pleasant viewing.
How do I relate to my 22F sister 18F after my fianc 23M fell in love with her? I have always been extremely close with my younger sister. We've been each other's closest friends and have always shared everything, the good and the bad. We would stay up late on nights over weekends talking about everything under the sun. One thing to know about my sister is that she is naturally stunningly beautiful. Like, when she walks into a room all heads turn, male and female alike.
She doesn't do it on purpose, and she doesn't even think about her beauty or accentuating it at all.
She's never had a boyfriend and is remarkably innocent about the way things work between genders. I got engaged in January of this year and, very long story short, my fianc fell in love with my sister once he met her. He didn't mean to, whatever that means, but I broke the engagement in early May. I moved out and have been working through my anger, grief, and depression, and it is slowly going away and I am finding myself enjoying spending time with family and friends again. The issue is my sister. Every time I see her now all I can think is, that's the beauty that made my fianc choose her over me. I desperately don't want to be thinking about that, she had no part in it, apart from being, too overly friendly to him, but that's where my mind goes, and I am having a hard time being close with her. I really want to be able to go back to the kind of closeness we once had, but I clearly have something unresolved that's blocking it. How can I stop thinking about my sister as the other woman? I haven't told her what exactly happened, because she'll be devastated, but it's like I close down every time we talk. Too long, didn't read, I'm having a hard time being close to my sister after my fianc fell in love with her.
When I was 21 I was engaged to a guy. He also admitted he would have rather been with my 18 at the time sister. Naturally, the relationship between us ended. I was hurt, devastated, confused, etc. Now I'm 31 and married to someone who absolutely adores me.
So keep your chin up. But I totally can empathize with the pain.
It's definitely can become a thorn in your side. It's hard not to be salty. I eventually used the free counseling on campus. I felt like I had a safe place to express my irrational feelings and learn to retrain my inner voice. Was it hard? Absolutely, but I found it worth it.
Thank you for sharing your story. I'm glad things worked out for you.
I read somewhere your sister didn't know being niece to man could come as flirting.
But she was just trying to be nice to the man that you were going to marry because she knew he was going to be family. He was the one who used her as an excuse to show his true colors and shows he is not man enough for you. That's who you have to blame.
Because for all you know, if it wasn't your sister, it could have been the neighbor next door, or the cashier at your supermarket.
He was going to fail because he wasn't enough anyway.
I get that seeing her and even talking to her is going to be putting thoughts in your head. You need to take time to talk things out with a counselor and understand that it wasn't your sister's fault, it wasn't your fault, it was his fault for being a piece of turd. You deserve better than that and more, honey. Healing is going to take time, it's going to be difficult, but it's going to happen. Someday soon you are going to look back and be glad you didn't marry him. This is an excellent comment. The situation really has almost nothing to do with the sister, and the ex is an absolute creep. Original poster, you're not in a competition with your sister. It feels like that because you think she is more beautiful than you. That could be true. But there is someone out there who is prettier than nearly any of us. Realistically, I am sure you ran into at least one person who was more physically attractive than your ex-fianc during your relationship. But you didn't fall in love with those people, because that is not what love is at all, and you know that.
This is not just an interesting perspective. This post here is the truth circumflex called, and I have said it better myself, Venezuela introvert. Too long, didn't you read? Kai's true colors were shown. Sister's vulnerability needs to be addressed.
I think you make great points, but the issue is not that she's angry at her sister, it's that she has developed an inferiority complex around her. Blaming him doesn't address this. I agree with all of this except he isn't a piece of a turd. He is a whole fucking turd. And you do deserve so much better. Not only did he shatter your trust, but he broke your relationship with your sister unbeknownst to her.
Exactly. If it wasn't your sister, it would have been someone else. You should talk to your sister.
He was the one who used her as an excuse to show his true colors and show he is not man enough for you. That's who you have to blame. Because for all you know, if it wasn't your sister, it could have been the neighbor next door or the cashier at your supermarket. He was going to fail because he wasn't enough anyway. T.S.
Exactly.
It's why a lot of teenage boys fall in love with their best friend's sister. The sister is perhaps friendly, some guys just fall in love with any girl that gives them the last bit of attention. It's not very mature to view relationships like that, but it happens.
Two boys.
You shouldn't get married to someone that's still in the phase of wanting to be with whoever is the prettiest person being friendly towards them. If you're in a relationship, especially if you're getting engaged, the choice should already be made. The fact that he left you because he met someone prettier than you wasn't a sign of a promising relationship, even if it hadn't happened with your sister.
It's not your sister's fault.
He'll have to learn from this mistake and hopefully he'll grow up one day. But you should get on and seek new opportunities with someone that has matured enough to be with you because they love you as a human being, not because you're the prettiest person that's been nice to them.
It may be best to take some time to process these feelings on your own or just with friends.
Maybe explain it to your sis/family that you're needing time to yourself and will reach out once you feel able to. I would absolutely not say that you need distance from your sister specifically, as it could really damage your relationship and make her feel guilty for something that isn't her fault.
She is a beautiful person with a warm personality who was just trying to get to know her future Bill. I doubt she would ever try to steal him from you if y'all are as close as you describe, and saying that she was overly friendly sounds like you're resenting her a bit, intentional or not.
I get where you're coming from, but your sister is basically still a child.
I can tell that you want to have a normal relationship with her but are still grieving your relationship. It isn't your fault or your sister's fault that it happened, your ex just turned out to be a creep.
Thank you. She absolutely was not trying to steal him. She just very innocent and didn't know that being very friendly to men can be interpreted by them as flirting.
Instead of looking at your sister as the beauty that made my fiancé choose her over me, think about her as the person who showed you what kind of dirtbag he really is. If she wasn't as pretty, you might not have found out until you were much deeper in the relationship. The problem is with him, not with you. When you do find the right man, I guarantee you he will not look at your sister like that.
This is a great take.
He was a dirtbag for sure.
Good thing he told her how he felt rather than hiding it and then trying something later.
Yes. So much better to know what kind of guy he is now than further down the road. Hurts now, but original poster dodged a bullet. Think about her as the person who showed you what kind of dirtbag he really is.
Exactly.
There will always be someone more beautiful than you or me, original poster. Imagine you have a risky pregnancy, get put on bed rest, and put on a lot of weight.
Would he be looking at all the 10 women around while you were trying to keep your baby alive?
Your sis did nothing wrong.
She tried to get to know and be kind to who he thought was her future brother-in-law.
She likely gets approached and even harassed by guys all the time. It is sad your future husband became one of them. I too have 2 friends who look like supermodels, yet, believe me, their dating lives are no happier than that of ordinary-looking women. They are approached by guys all the time, but most of them are like your ex, they get mesmerized by their looks,
but they either don't want to date them seriously, and if they do, many of them don't really care about their character and preferences.
There are always stunningly beautiful women in the world, and yet some men stay happily married to their pretty, but not stunning, wives.
Why is that? Because if someone loves you, it doesn't matter if a more physically attractive person comes along. A man has no eyes for other women if he is really in love. He might notice them, but he wouldn't chase them or fall in love, really infatuation.
Try to revise the story you are telling yourself.
Your sister didn't trigger the loss of a man who loved you. She revealed the heart of a man who never loved you. Imagine how miserable you would have been if you found that out years after the wedding. Maybe her beauty saved you from worse pain and freed you up for a person you will be much happier with.
Your adult fiancé fell in love with a teenager he'd only known for a short time based on her looks. Your ex didn't he know what love was if he actually claimed that?
You stopped thinking of your sister as the beauty he fell in love with by actively interrupting that thought every time you have it.
Your sister inadvertently, by merely being present, helped expose the fact that your ex didn't he know what love is and was a total creep. Because of her existence, you were saved a terrible marriage.
Telling yourself things like that each time will help. Reminding yourself that she had every right to be friendly with the man her older sister was going to marry and did not deserve to be objectified by him in an inappropriate way will also help. Again, your sister is barely out of childhood.
Your ex was supposed to be an adult and a safe person for her. He came into her life under the guise of a new family member. You redirect the thought that she is the other woman by reminding yourself that she wasn't he and never will be.
Your sister presumably is not the kind of person who would help a boyfriend cheat on you. Your fiancé didn't he choose her over you, he wasn't he actually ready for the relationship he was in and chose the idea of a pretty teenager over you.
If it wasn't he her, it would have been someone else, who might have even reciprocated.
He didn't he choose her, she was never an option. You chose to end the relationship because he wasn't he actually ready to marry you and didn't he know what love is. You've got to challenge the thoughts you're having. You were young to be getting married anyway and you've just been saved from a horrible relationship. Celebrate that.
Think about how good it'll feel someday to introduce her to an emotionally healthy and decent partner.
Thank you.
Honestly, you need to thank your sister instead of this. Your fiancé was so creepy and pathetic he was willing to sacrifice your relationship because an attractive woman existed in the same space as him for a bit. That is beyond weird and awful. I mean, you have got to be some sort of rock-bottom misogynist to view women as objects to that degree. Here's the thing, pretty women exist in life. They will exist around whoever you date and fall in love with, the same as extremely handsome men exist around you. Normal, emotionally mature people do not throw over an established loving relationship for a more attractive newcomer, even if said newcomer is interested in them. They really don't do so when said newcomer isn't interested, is months away from legally being considered a child, and is the sibling of their current partner. You dodged a bullet and your sister helped you. If she wasn't that beautiful, you would have stayed blissfully ignorant. Right up until his behavior came out directed at someone else. Maybe he would have left you at the altar for a hot bridesmaid. Maybe you would have found you had an STD from all the chicks that said yes already. Get checked for that, Binta. Your sister is no more to blame than any other passerby. If you can't grasp that, perhaps see a professional to work through it.